Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's move right into approving the minutes from our June meeting, which was quite a while ago. Do we have any?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Wow. All right.
It's like nothing's changed. I lost no time.
Wow. All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? No further discussion. Minutes are approved. And new business. Yeah, this is where I turn over to you, my friend.
All right, thank you. Obviously, this is my first official meeting as business administrator, having replaced Matt Angel, and a few things I've left on that may have been standing items he had, but certainly I welcome feedback from any of you if there's things that you're like, yeah, good to know, but don't need it, or things that you'd like to see. Yeah, I'm happy for the feedback. So let's jump into kind of the financial conditions of the district, and then we'll get on to DOE 25 and some facility updates. But kind of one of those standing items was inflation. That typically included inflation in the report, which I've included there for the month of July. The July was 3.6, and you click on the link and go back and see what's done over time. In terms of encumbrances, I provided a link for you to the spreadsheet for the FY25 for the current year encumbrances through August 12th. So that includes all POs that have been issued to date. Our cash balance as of July 31st was $4,345,760.11. We'll move on to the two manifest questions that I received back in June. Are there any questions about anything I've commented on so far?
Nope.
Okay. Jeremiah had a couple questions about a couple of manifest items back in June. One was about professional development. It pertained to John Wortman provided leadership and teachers with some professional development. The question was, this is a large sum of money for PD. Was this a one-time fee, ongoing coaching, online tools, etc.? And do we have some sort of metric that shows it is worthwhile investment? Matt Angel actually took this one. He was still here in the month of June, and I'll just share his response. So this is coming from Matt. I want to first address the metric as to whether John Wortman training is worthwhile. Tom has been providing executive coaching to his team leaders, myself included. For all the organizations I've worked for, the time spent with John Wortman has been more insightful than any other training I've attended. The key takeaway I've observed is the training seems to address interpersonal relationships and refocusing efforts to a common goal, in my opinion, is worthwhile. Matt went on to say, what is new with this invoice is that Tom has expanded the training to professional staff, teachers. I would expect management effort to decline as a result. And then regarding the fee, this is a one-time fee paid with ESSER funds. As you may be aware, we have to obligate the funds prior to the end of the grant period. The path of least resistance for grants is to expand the funds and seek immediate reimbursement rather than obligating the funds with a PO.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he means he would expect management effort to decline, meaning that the teachers will be better trained to handle whatever leadership and managerial issues they have.
and I would also say, having been a building leader, building leaders be better at managing that too.
Right.
Yeah. And
Should be more sense.
yeah, absolutely. We had some tree work. Oh, sorry.
No, I said thank you.
Oh. There was some tree work done, and two questions that came about from it, and we've cleaned this up. More of an accounting issue, but question was, where at Memorial did we remove a tree for $1,500? And the old campus, the old high school campus, sorry, where is this referring to? The seminary, and if so, why are we paying for tree removal or removal on that property that the district does not own? With respect to the description of old high school campus. This was an old description and accounting system. We cleaned it up. I listed the accounting code there for the old high school campus. And it was created when the only old campus was the seminary, which is no longer the case, as we also maintain the old middle school. And we've since, but back when I wrote this in June, I said we are currently updating the description of the accounting system now to avoid this confusion. So essentially now, if we do work at SLC, SCA, it says that,
Nice.
this won't happen again. The old high school campus has been removed from the system for FY25. And the tree work that was completed by Wilders was done at the middle school, the old, so typo?
This is
You
at
got
the
it.
Memorial School.
Sorry.
Old middle
Tree
school.
work was done, someone just changed it on me?
No.
Sorry. Anyway, with respect to the work, there was a dead tree. It was adjacent to the Memorial School playground. So tree taken down, we were worried about might fall in the playground area, as well as some dead trees along the roadway that leads from Memorial School to SLC or SCA.
Sure.
Additional tree work was included trimming tree limbs in the vicinity of the SCA paving project, as well as trimming trees and removing bushes to ensure access to the emergency entrance to the fields behind SLC and SCA, which are also used by the community and rented to outside groups. And we shared a portion of this cost with SCA, because part of the benefit of them, part of the benefit our district. So it was a shared cost.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt.
Yep. Trust fund balances, I'll be quick. These were updated as of June 30th. The Special Education Expendable Trust, as of June 30th, had a balance of $262,019.83. Capital Improvement and Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund, a balance of $402,902.96. The Unanticipated Educational Expense Capital Reserve Fund had a balance of $271,845.99. The Unanticipated Utility Costs Expendable Trust had a balance of $159,392.55. And lastly, the Facility Use Revolving Fund, the balance of $185,677.84.
Does that reflect all the expenditures that we made prior to the end of the year, or no?
I looked into it. I pulled the reports. I feel like something is
That we
missing.
approved, you know?
Yes, that we
It's-
approved. They're in there, all the text in there, the
Tractor?
tractor was the latest contract.
The Ventrac stuff?
But the PCs were in there, the server was in there, the scrubbers, all that stuff's in there. And I feel like it's high by about 30,000,
Yeah.
and I keep running reports, and I don't know if something wasn't included. I don't know if potentially, and this is not even a criticism or anything, but I don't know if something may have been paid for by Matt out of general appropriations that was supposed to come out of here. That's why the balance is higher.
So should we review our minutes of exactly what we approved?
Yeah,
Because we had done a total at the meeting.
I know,
And
and
it
it
was
said the
low.
balance would be
It was low, yeah.
98,000.
I thought we
Right,
were
just
below
right
100.
around 100,000,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
What about, when was the last deposit made to the fund?
July 31st, there was a July deposits from SLC and SCA.
But all our projections, when we projected it to be a 98, did that account for subsequent deposits, or?
I think I have to dig into the end of FY24. I think there's something that potentially Mr. Angel had paid for with general appropriations in surplus. It was supposed to come out of here. He wasn't literally unavailable in the wilds of Alaska. I might ask him about it if he's still willing to help us out, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I spent a fair amount of time the last couple of days digging into it, and
Yeah.
I'll get you a revised number in 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, and I think to Rick's point, I think if we looked at the minutes and saw what we approved out of what fund, and then just kind of did a check and balance.
And I know some of the things that Gordon Parks, some of the IT purchases, they all came in lower than anticipated.
Okay.
We had delayed about a month And so, for instance, the $18,000 server came in at 13 and change.
Yeah.
It's almost $5,000 cheaper.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
so that might, yeah.
So there's little things, but it doesn't account for,
It doesn't account for 85K.
right, now, yeah.
Okay.
I
I mean, I like that we're on this side of.
We're on the right side of it.
But the question is what?
It doesn't sound right.
Yeah, and I even, so I'll dig into it.
Okay.
And that'll be reported out in 2 weeks.
Thanks, man.
Okay. On to the DOE 25. I'll make sure everybody has the DOE 25 up.
Give me a second, sorry.
If you wouldn't mind on this one, Matt, just because it's a short document, just kind of going line by line with us. That'd be great.
By the way,
That's kind of mean.
there's no new BA who would do this by themselves. This thing is 26-page spreadsheet plus about 8 tabs that you don't see.
Sure.
Matt Angel and I worked it on together in July. There are BAs that sub this out. It's just, it's crazy. I can see the logic behind it. But anyway, one thing I want to point out is on our agenda, and this is really for the public or maybe for yourselves, I linked to essentially training videos from the DOE. One is DOE 25 101 for members of the public. It's about a 25-minute explanation of the DOE 25, where it comes from. The other one is the cost per pupil analysis, tongue twister, and where that comes from. If you want to chuckle, watch that video, because they even admit, the formula they use for cost per pupil is questionable at best, but they've been using it for decades.
And
That's a good reason to keep
and it's the correct one we should be using today.
That's good.
Yeah, so, just for, the public, the DOE 25, this is our, financial statement for the school district, is due on September 1st. We could file for an extension, but we don't need to. They may come back with recommendations for some tweaks, but, I've already actually submitted it once. They've sent it back for a minor tweak. It just took a couple minutes. It's 99.9% done, and nothing major is gonna change. Also on the agenda is the MS 25. They're identical. When we create the DOE 25, the MS 25 is auto-filled. We don't even look at it. It's the same numbers. The only difference is the DOE 25 goes to the DOE and the MS 25 goes to the Department of Revenue. And again, just for the public's knowledge, really, DOE 25 is our balance sheet, it's our income statement, and it's broken out by fund. The most important, line in this entire document is the top of page 2. Actually, forget the cover page, yep. And it's the unassigned fund balance, which you'll see in blue. This is what we're returning to the taxpayers. This will help, provide, reduce tax rate for the coming year. And that amount is going to be $1,486,420.50. So that's what's getting returned to the
That's good.
taxpayers.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, last
Just
year.
exactly what we said it would be. Remember, we said we were shooting for 1.3 million?
So yeah, this is more.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, was it 1486?
1.4, yeah,
Yeah.
46.
Top of page 3. Yeah, right there in blue.
I'm on 2,
Oh.
sorry.
No, go back up.
Page 2, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For comparison, last year was about 681,000.
Great. And that's in a, crazy inflationary environment,
Reassessment.
strained supply chains, et cetera, et cetera. So that's some solid work by the board and the administration to make that happen.
Yeah, thank you.
The second most important group of numbers is the last page. So page 26, very bottom. That's the cost per pupil for elementary, middle, and high school. This is, kind of a wacky formula, as I already said. Basically, you take FY24 expenditures only for kids in the building. This does not include kids who are placed out of district, kids who are tuitioned somewhere. They take that number and then subtract out, again, the DOE does this, they subtract out certain costs like food service revenues, so money that our community spent on lunches. They subtract out some transportation costs, tuition, summer school expenditures, things like that. They get this amount that was expended on our buildings, and they divide it by the average daily membership, the ADM. And it gets this number, which it's pretty comparable to last year. I think the overall average is slightly lower. The average pure pupil, I can't speak that. The average pure pupil cost for elementary and high school went down slightly, middle school went up slightly. They have to do with the fact that we had a small population this year in middle school. We had a small 8th grade and a fairly small 6th grade. But the overall seems to decrease slightly.
How do they calculate the and maybe it's self-explanatory, the average daily membership? Like, they just take the number of students in attendance, the number of days and divide?
I know, I haven't gotten that far in the weeds yet,
Okay.
to be honest with you. I know that each building reports out our attendance monthly.
Okay.
I believe it's on a monthly basis. And it's something they're required to do. And the funny thing is it comes up with a decimal.
Right.
You know.
What do you think, though, if there's a given, if on average you got 15 kids, just say 15 kids in the district absent on average per day for whatever reason, those numbers are going to be low
It is a
at the
very,
end of the year. You know what I mean?
yes, it's a very convoluted and complicated system that we could never unpack in this meeting without having support on the phone from the state. And even then, you won't get a consistent answer.
Right.
If you really want to chuckle, watch that second video I liked.
I think what it does, I mean, just from my conversations with Matt, and the way he described it to me, is that it does artificially inflate the cost per pupil slightly, because they don't really have an accurate picture of how many students we actually have.
It does, because if you figure that I'm absent 3 days for a flu 1 week and you're absent 2
Yeah.
days another, and then you're absent another, that means that there's one kid at the table that's not present for school at all. So the cost per pupil for all the other 5 or 6 people goes up by one student. It's
And yet, the actual cost that we pay is for more than is reflected.
yes,
So
that is correct.
just something to know.
And they even, and then like the last 5 minutes of the video, they provide you a spreadsheet where you can, they're like, if you think you have a better formula, use this, and, you know, add in transportation costs, you know, whatever. It's like, so I mean, again, it's not perfect. It has flaws. The DOE even admits it has flaws. Although they do consider it a good way to compare school districts in terms of what you're getting, efficiency of a district.
Right.
If you're comparing districts that are apples to apples, you can't compare, you know,
Yeah.
a small to mid-sized district like us to like a large district, but you can compare us to someone comparable.
It says here on the website, ADM for a student is the number of half-days absent plus the number of half-days attended, divided by the number of half-days the school's in session for the school year. Compounded by 2/3 of, no, just kidding. But that's what it says. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's a calculation.
It seems it would only work if the same students were absent every month.
So Matt, the question at the end of the day is, and I think you've just answered it, what is this metric used for? And it's meant to compare district to district based on efficiency, is what you said?
Yes,
That's sort of
that's
the
my interpretation. Yeah.
general,
Yeah.
you know, okay.
So again, this will be presented to the board tonight, same information, and then ask the board to sign it. Then I can send it off to the DOE and the DRA by September 1st.
Great.
And if there are any changes, I'll let you all know, but I think there'll just be minor notes based on feedback I've gotten from not only the DOE, but from Mr. Angel himself.
Great. Thanks for taking that on, Matt.
You're welcome, thank you. All right, ready to move on? Okay, so, we have heating oil and propane contracts in place. Dan's assistant, Tina Corsia, did most of the legwork, but, click on the link. We got 5 quotes. We asked for 6 quotes. 5 out of the 6 suppliers we contacted for heating oil, provided quotes. And some were revised based on, you know, us asking if it was the best price. Ultimately, we went with the, low cost bidder, Irving, that, Mr. Nault authorized us to sign the contract for. That is, as you can see at the bottom, I included last year's, if you're curious what last year's prices were. It was a better rate than last year, which was at about 13 cents. We paid $277.5 last year, and we got a rate of $264.8 from Irving. Similarly with propane, Irving came in significantly lower than anybody else at $249.9. Knowing what I pay for my own house, I wish I could have got $249.9.
I know.
But that's significantly better than last year.
One.
I'm sorry, $140.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
I actually paid about
You're right.
$249.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
that's why I had $249 at the brain, because that's what I paid.
Yeah.
Good call, thank you. So anyway, and then Jeremiah authorized us to sign that contract. And we're currently about to focus on electricity, because the electricity contract's up in November. And we're hoping to have that, have a decision on that by sometime in September. One thing to note, which I went back and looked at last year's minutes from this. Similarly, if we purchase all that heating oil, we will have a slight budget shortfall. I think last year, Mr. Angel said 58,000 short. This year would be about 40,000, which could come out of either the utility unanticipated fund, or we could find it in the general fund. But not a huge dollar amount, but I didn't build this year's budget, so I'm not sure what the estimate was on what this year's heating oil budget was based on, but yeah, we'll see. If we have another warm winter, it may not be an issue. And lastly, on heating oil, Newton joined us with heating oil because they got the same rate as us by joining with us. So they were happy to join us in getting heating oil at $264.8.
Yeah. And again, Matt, thanks for the work on that. That's a lot of legwork that you did, and then trying to strike while the iron was hot on that one. So I appreciate you doing that. And I mean, the propane alone was $6,000 savings over last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it's, you know, you locked in at a good rate and good work on the backside.
And again, Dan's assistant Tina deserves a lot of credit. She was making all the phone calls, emails.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
So 75,000 is what we got on the oil last year.
Yes, I think the year before was 85 or 80,000, and we
Yeah,
reduced it.
Reduced it last year, yeah.
And I think, Dan, I don't know if you know, did we squeeze all that 75,000 in tanks this year?
We did,
Barely.
we did, we got it all in.
We had a warm winter last year, so
Right.
let's see.
Yeah.
We'll probably do for a cold one.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
No.
If you believe the Farmer's Almanac, it says warm again.
Yeah.
It says warm and but snowy.
Those are fighting words.
But snowy.
Okay, snowy's good.
Warm and
Yeah.
snowy means wet, heavy snow.
Well, that's down here in the East Coast. I mean, down the coast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go up towards the mountain, a little colder.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're talking skiing.
I love I'm a skier too, not like Tom though.
Jeremiah likes to blame it on me, but he really secretly wants a big hot, cold winter.
From Northern Vermont, these winters are pretty mild.
I know.
A couple of SCA updates. Obviously, SCA was working on the old middle school facility to open the building next week. Paving project's done. That was a split between us and them. I don't know, Dan, do you have any updates on the paving project? I know it looks great. I've driven
No,
around it.
it's 100%, it's complete.
Yeah.
So,
How'd it come up?
turned out fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Petro Paving did a great job on it.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Grading on the edges looks nice, not some big.
Yeah, we still have a
drop.
little bit of area to touch up, but we
Yeah.
expect to get that done by the end of the week.
Nice.
So-
Yep. Nice.
I think it's important at some point when we talk about the capital improvement plan, if I'm not in the room, to just remember that it's been a number of years since we've done the, seal coating on the pavement out here at this building. And so at some point we'll want to seal coat it again and restripe it.
Yeah.
It looked really nice when it was done and it's starting to really get worn out again, and I'd like to grab it before it deteriorates.
Yep.
Yeah, when I talked to a couple different pavers, they recommended doing it next year, not this year.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Because they said there's a buildup on it if you do it too soon.
Sure.
And then I know I already got a bid for restriping all our parking lots in the school district for
Nice.
about $10,000.
Nice.
So, but that doesn't include the seal coating and the crack filling.
Yeah.
And we do the sidewalks along with the parking lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was noticing the striping myself, so that's good. Maybe next year.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think next year will be,
Yeah.
next summer will be the time to do it.
When kids can't see, if they're looking in their mirrors, right, as they're parking and they can't see the line.
Yeah,
That's where things
as they're
get,
looking at
right.
their phones, you
Yeah.
need a little bit of white or yellow.
Yeah.
And talking to their friends.
Yeah, the line
Their
delineation
eyes.
is what catches their eye.
Catch their
Yeah,
eye.
Yep. So,
So, I typically go out for bid on that around November.
okay,
That way, we can get it scheduled for next summer because they book up December, January.
can you keep us honest to that, Dan?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
So the next facility issue that relates to SCA was shared with this committee in June. And it had to do with some HVAC units, they're HVAC too, right, Dan? They were
Yep.
just heating, right?
Your air handlers.
Yeah. Over modular.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 modular
Yeah,
classrooms.
so the rooftop units there, and they were 20+ years old. They failed, Dan, you correct me, I'll keep you correcting.
Yeah, the 2 units that were up there
They were
original to the
failing.
modulars.
They were struggling before the pandemic, right? When we shut
Yes.
down the middle school.
Right.
So they've been sitting idle for 3+ years. And they needed to either be repaired at about 8,000+ for the repair, or replaced. In looking at it, it made no sense to do that, and SCA would have preferred to put their money into a replacement. So we shared that information with you all, and went with the low-cost bidder, which was about 28,000 and change. And per the lease agreement, for anything between 15,000, 1 cent, and $150,000, any of those repairs are split 50/50. If the public is curious, anything below $15,001, it's all on SCA to pay for that 100% their own. So that work has been, first of all, the work was shared with this committee. They allowed us to move forward with it. And Dan, what's the latest status on that? If they-
They just finished it up yesterday.
Yeah.
So they put the big units up last week and then they did some finishing stuff on it yesterday.
And it really had to be done this summer because they needed a crane to lift the,
Right, yeah,
Right.
when we're lifting like that with the crane over a school building, you kind of got to evacuate underneath it. So the only time we could do it was when school was not in session.
So
so
the funds for these have already been,
they have not come out, because the project wasn't done, we haven't billed yet. But my recommendation was to take it from facility use revolving fund because that's what's SCA is generating that
in
fund,
January, all right.
along with SLC.
Okay.
So I can report out, hopefully in 2 weeks, I can report that out and get your official permission to use those funds to cover that. This is 14, it's in the bid there. Maybe
Yeah.
14,000 and change for our part.
Okay. Yeah, so the 29,565 number is the entire project, and we would be half of that.
28, let me see. It was Palmer and Sicard?
Yes, that was the contractor.
Palmer and Sicard.
Oh,
Yeah,
what
half of this one,
page?
28,
What page are
28
we on?
before. It's
Page
the,
3.
there were 3 bids there.
Okay.
Palmer and
Maybe I put the
Sicard.
wrong one.
And that cost covers
Oh,
both,
there we go, okay.
right? Covers both the units?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, 28, okay, gotcha, thank you. Great. And that project is done
As of yesterday, yes.
as of yesterday, great. Yeah, because they start, I think, the same time we do, right?
Yes,
This week?
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Now, my favorite topic,
Oh, boy.
that track.
Ventrac has been epic. You guys all, the board voted to approve the purchase in May.
Mhm.
And I got the paperwork into the finance lease company sometime in June, and they sent it back. No big deal. And then she sent a little comment. has your attorney reviewed this? Like, it's required because we're a tax exempt entity. And he reviewed it and said, well, did the school board approve this one resolution? There's a resolution, a two-page resolution that basically requires the board to authorize either the superintendent or myself as a business administrator to enter into this lease, and it has to be like observed by our clerk and notarized. And the leasing company would not
Move forward.
move forward with that. And so tonight, it's gonna be a 2-minute conversation, just because we desperately need this. We have,
Sorry.
this is a multi-purpose
Only been waiting a
tool
year
that
and a
in
half.
time is gonna replace a lot of equipment that's failing. It's gonna be more
It's our stall
efficient.
tactic.
And our facilities guys, and maintenance guys need it desperately, and they keep saying, when are you gonna get that
Yeah.
metric? I'm like, be patient, man, I'm sorry.
And I told him, hopefully tomorrow we can get things moving on it. So,
Yeah, okay.
So,
Well, we'll do our part tonight.
thank you.
but yeah, it's,
You'll make some people very happy.
They continue to make do and do a great job on the fields though, continually.
Yeah, we're struggling with equipment right now,
Yeah.
so that's, we really do need that machine.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Well, they're doing great making it happen though,
yeah.
covering the gaps. So again.
yeah, so that'll be a quick discussion. That'll be
Okay.
2 minutes, hopefully. And Memorial School ramps turned out to be far more expensive than we thought. Of course, the one ramp behind, I don't know how you got that ramp in. One of them that was spongy
Yeah.
for reinforcing temporarily, but the quotes all came in much higher than we thought. And you couldn't, Dan's been trying to get wood quotes. You only got one for $58,000.
Yeah, 57,390
Yeah.
For both?
for both.
Is that because of the rot?
Well, that's tearing out the old
Replace it
one
all,
and
right?
replacing it with
Yeah.
footings. and-
Freestanding, they're freestanding, they can't connect to the building.
Yeah, you
Well-
have to put in footings.
We put footings in there.
Yeah, if you go with conventional wood type, you're talking pressure treated footings. That's with a composite deck rather than a wood deck and aluminum handrails that need ADA requirements.
Yeah.
The other issue you have with it is, we would have to get some type of variance with the fire marshal also because it's a structure connected to a flammable structure. So you got a flammable stair that's connected to a flammable structure. If we went with aluminum, you could put it right up against with no variances or anything involved in it. So, that's one of the things we have to consider. So, but a lot of that is when you put aluminum in, you're not doing footings or anything because they're just sitting right on the ground. And literally to install aluminum decks would take 1 day. Where with wood, you're talking excavating holes, pouring concrete inspection, then putting in, your subsurface and then having that inspected and then final. So
But
there's a lot that
there's
goes.
some footing alternatives now. Some, some,
Prefab stuff.
some pyramid stuff you can drive into the ground. There's a million options, right?
Yeah, they're like pier footings. So like you get an air hammer and you drive rods in,
Oh,
but I mean,
okay,
that's,
yeah. But that's
That's still-
expensive.
I know.
That's
it's
very
still a
expensive.
process. It's labor. You're gonna pay for labor to do it.
So do we have
A work weekend, to be able to
Quotes.
roll up our sleeves and,
that are
Well, it's gotta be.
for wood versus aluminum?
Well, we have
Yeah.
2 quotes for aluminum
Makes
and
me
1
sick.
quote for wood, and you've had companies that just
Yeah,
refuse to send you quotes or show up to.
Yeah, blue collar workhorse company came out, they looked at it, and then they just said, we're not bidding on it. I called Build It Construction, see if they wanted to be involved in it, and they said, you know what, we just don't have the time to do it.
Mhm.
So finding a conventional contractor to do it has been very difficult.
Mhm.
Where a lot of these companies that do aluminum ramps, obviously that's their bread and butter, so they can, we order it and we'll get it in a couple weeks kind of thing.
I had somebody come out and look at it, and I went there with him, with Matt, Matt
Yeah,
Angel.
yeah.
And, because of the ADA compliancy, because it has to be detached from the building. And to do it right, there's rot in one of the areas, you know what I mean?
on the building. You take like
Where
a
it's
ledger, you
attached.
take it all off.
Yeah.
The one that goes into the music room in the portal. Yeah, I mean, I think if, from my, and again, this is just his feedback, and he was one of the guys that, he said, for me to bid it, it's, the aluminum would probably be the way to go.
Right.
He thought that the one that's on the actual detached portable could be shored up, so I think that's what you're talking about.
Well, it's been shored up before, but we're still dealing with rot underneath.
Well, I was mentioning just before, make things safe to start a school, the other one, the one that.
With the attached
That
mods, yeah.
needs to be
That's,
sorted out.
that's the one that's going into the music room.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one that
That's-
needs, that
that's the
really needs to be
concern.
addressed.
And I
That's
think
any
what we'll
agreement.
end up doing is throwing a piece of plywood on top of it just to kind of distribute the weight on that deck as a.
Is that just a
temporary
piece of
fix.
wood right now, old pressure treated, whatever?
It's, yeah, and it's got soft spots and it's a concern, like we should probably address it.
Yeah, we gotta get that.
So how much was the aluminum quote, Dan?
So the cheapest quote from 101 Mobility was $37,394.26
And that was for both, right?
for both ramps.
Okay.
And
That's not
then
bad.
an additional $4,800 to have a contractor to come out and tear the old ones out.
Oh, okay, so that 37 was the install.
Yep, and then an additional $1,500 to repair the skirts around the modulars, the aluminum
Yeah.
skirts that go around it.
Okay.
So that was the lowest bid in aluminum, so 37,700 plus 48 and 1,500, so,
43.
yeah. That's about what we're talking.
Yeah.
So, but the other two companies that bid on it were within the ballpark, quite
Yeah.
honestly. The advantage with going with aluminum too is it's maintenance free.
Yeah.
We can always take them down and reuse them if for some reason we remove the mods from the building.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, there's value in the aluminum, even if we scrapped it. Where if you go with a conventional wood deck, there's no value in it once it's up, you know?
Yeah.
So,
The labor is what's
It's
yeah,
killing
the
driving the
labor
price
is
up,
killing us.
unless you gotta put footings in, that's the
Yeah.
killer.
So, that's kind of where we stand.
So.
Yeah, I'm not looking for a decision tonight.
Just gonna ask what
I'm
you're
just,
looking for.
I don't know.
Well,
Well, we gotta do
I
something.
think we do need a decision tonight, because it's not safe. So, I mean, it's,
I mean,
I think we
I'm
all
just-
agree that
I
there's,
wasn't trying to force a decision.
no, I know, I didn't think you were.
Yeah, we asked and tell us what you want.
Yeah, well,
Right.
what's
I think
the,
we've addressed it
Yeah.
enough now.
well, I have this quote. It's August 21st. School starts in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we put,
And we've been out there, we've all
When-
laid feet on that.
What's the,
I would say about 4 weeks to get the material in and then a day or two to install.
so in the meantime, we have a plan to make it safe.
Yes, yes. I wouldn't want to carry it through the winter though.
that's
for
correct,
sure.
yeah, snow.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, you don't want
More
plowing out there in
moisture.
the middle of the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snow
Snow
load,
and
everything
ice.
else.
So what were the totals again? What was the total?
So for the actual aluminum ramp and stuff, it was 37,794.26. For the demolition portion of it was $4,800. And for the repair of the skirts, was an additional 1,500. No concrete is needed in this, which is good. What they do is they'll actually get
Then we got
cinder
total.
block
Yeah, what's, can you just
or
go?
flat
Which
block
is what-
that they put, no, just flat block that they put on the ground and they set the aluminum piece
That's really
on
on
that.
that motion.
And then what's nice about these companies is after 1 year, they come out and they recheck and rebalance and tighten everything up.
Yeah, it can always be adjusted.
794.26.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need a
Okay,
motion.
plus
4,800, it's getting a total.
4,800 plus 1,500 equals.
And it would be coming from
44,094.26.
facilities use fund?
I think what we should do is take it from the general fund right now, and then when we check our year-end balance around January or February, make a decision as to whether or not we want to transfer it to facilities use. Because facilities use is, once he gets the numbers straightened out, we'll be below 100 grand.
Yeah.
So I think we should just,
Although we do have 2 rents going in now too, though.
would you prefer to take it out of facilities use? I'm just trying to,
I just suggest that because I think that's where it should come out
It's
of.
cleaner
Oh, so it's
coming
cleaner.
out. It's cleaner coming out of there.
And one way or another, it makes sense, take it from one.
it's gonna come from one of the
And
other.
don't we have
investment,
extra,
yes,
there's an extra $30,000 in there, right? Just kidding.
I mean,
All right, so, I don't know the name of the company.
Oh, yeah, who was that? Who's
So
that?
101 Mobility.
Yeah,
is the
so I'll make a motion to approve, the expenditure of $44,094.26 to 101 Mobility for the replacement and repair or replacement of, both entrances to the attached portable memorial and the detached portable memorial.
Second.
All those in favor?
And just so we're clear, 101 is gonna install a new one, and then Voluminous Construction is gonna tear the old one out, so I have 2 contractors coming in to do the work.
Got it, sure.
Okay.
Yep, and those numbers were included in that.
Yep,
Right.
the tear down, yep.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for doing that work as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Thanks for
no
being
problem.
patient with us. I
Yeah.
know this is the route you wanted to go and you know, allowed the
Oh,
process
this
to
has
play
been
out.
around, even before you were here.
Yeah.
I want to do this for a
How
couple
long-
of
Yeah,
years.
I know
How
it-
long have those been there?
I'm assuming since they were built, and from what I understand, it was a teacher's husband who helped out build those, so it was just a
I should have never been
local,
attached to the.
local
Yeah, no.
handyman that did it.
Which we are very grateful for.
Yes, which is fine,
Thank
but,
you.
but
Oh, yeah.
we
Yeah.
have to be careful with code issues.
Yeah,
and
that's-
LDA
yeah.
issues, so.
Yeah, it looks like they're not too.
We'll remedy it now.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Fantastic.
And although it may seem tedious, like, I know we put you through the ringer on it, but it's all about making sure we cover all
Oh,
bases.
absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel good about it now.
Yeah.
I didn't initially.
That's
Yeah, we
important.
know, we know.
You said aluminum, and I think Mike said, why not gold? So I don't know what he meant by that, but
Yeah, I know, so, and, you know, I think the combined, and I was just trying to find it, it's gonna take me a minute, but the combined rental income now, I wanna say is over 18,000 a month.
Mhm.
So
good.
it'll just be 2.5 months
Yeah.
of rental will cover this.
That's great. Yeah.
I feel more comfortable with the facilities revolving fund.
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yep.
Well, and I agree with Rick, it's transparent and it shows that the money from the rent from the other building is going to upgrade our facilities, which is exactly what it was intended to do when we did this.
it's showing that the money from the rent, that both those tenants have also put money in to improve the building, which we'll benefit from. We're gonna improve, every building in the district.
Well, and on that note, I did want to mention, before I step out and go to another meeting, that I've met with a lot of custodians this week at the different buildings as I've been touring the buildings. And I wanted to share that they are incredibly grateful for the new floor waxing machine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They asked me to thank you. And it's funny because like that's a piece of that culture piece where they feel really supported by the decision to purchase that.
Mm.
And that helps us with our goals around employee retention.
Mm.
So thank you.
Yes, and since we're struggling with manpower already, this has helped us considerably over the summer. We
Yeah, we're
literally
down to
have
people.
touched
Yeah.
every floor this year.
That's great.
Last summer, we touched half the floors.
Yeah.
Look at the shine on this
I
thing.
know.
Yeah.
It all got done even though we were down
That's
2
great.
people. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
It's awesome.
And it's also good not to be using toxic
Yeah.
chemicals.
Right,
too,
right,
Using
exactly.
water-based,
It's kind of a win-win-win. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Tom, I don't know if you want to weigh in on this policy at all, but back in our June 5th board meeting, policy DJE came up just in terms of ensuring that we secure minimum number of bids or quotes depending upon the cost of the project. So shortly thereafter, I know that Tom, you and maybe
Rick,
Rick, were kicking around some possible revisions to this policy. So those are in this link.
But-
Um,
I'm sorry, wasn't there a change in the law or something?
that's a separate policy around donation receipt.
Okay.
And so the amount of money that you have to have a public notice for before you receive a donation has changed.
Yeah.
And that
nothing-
policy is up for revision at the next meeting.
Yeah,
for
nothing
policy.
about the RFP amount, right?
No,
Okay.
no, and so what the purpose of this is that we wanted the 3 of you to approve it before I take it to policy at the first meeting of September, if you choose to. If not, we can, there's no real, this doesn't need to be expedited, it just helps us throughout the year. So if you want another couple of weeks to read it, that's perfectly fine. I can bring it to policy at the beginning of October. But if you're comfortable with it, I can bring it at the beginning of September.
the changes here are just the bolded areas.
The things that we discussed this spring, that the board asked Rick and I to research and come up with a suggestion for.
I'm aligned with these things.
I think it's more of amounts,
Yeah.
allowing the administration to make some decisions without, making it a long drawn out process, but also holding them accountable to making sure we get, quotes.
Yeah.
And obviously there's monetary thresholds in there.
Yeah.
I certainly believe in getting quotes, even as it says in there, for things under $10,000, worth getting quotes.
Yep.
It's no harm in that. So that's good business practice.
Do you need us to move this out of here with the?
No, I
with the
just
vote?
needed feedback. I
Yeah,
can move it to
okay.
the policy
Yeah, I
committee
think
per the
we're
normal
good.
process, but
Let's
I
do
just
that.
wanted to kind of do a straw poll, check in with you all to make
Yeah.
sure that it hit check the boxes that we were trying to hit.
And I think we worked on this a lot back in June
We did.
because of where we were in, in purchasing. So I think we arrived here and yeah, it looks good.
And the other policy that Rick alluded to, I'm bringing to policy right away as well. For the
The donation.
donation
Donations.
acceptance, so that you don't have to do every $5,000. It's gonna be great when it's higher, because it's pretty cumbersome.
Okay, thank you. We'll move that along to policy.
Thank you.
For old business, because in our June meeting, finance meeting, we had the Siemens audit that was presented. And I know at the end of the meeting, there was a lot of information. I see Jeremiah has the packet out. Just kind of wondering where the committee's at with that. Obviously, there are different levels of upgrades they can do for us. It would be energy efficiency or bigger picture, energy systems and, larger scale. And that also kind of ties into, as Tom already mentioned, the capital improvement project, which, before Mr. Angel left, me, Matt, and Dan sat down and started putting together a draft capital improvement plan for the next 5 years, just to start thinking about those. We have aging infrastructure. And this building looks great, but it's getting old, and we just need to plan accordingly. Otherwise, we're gonna be in a place we don't want to be.
I apologize. We probably should have taken this out of order, because you've been sitting here the whole time, so.
I'm
Yeah.
fascinated.
Yeah.
I
Oh, thank you.
appreciate it. No,
Thanks.
I'm appreciative of what you guys are doing
Yeah.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, we made you
It's
sit
a
for the
little
whole meeting.
education process for me, so I appreciate it. No, I'm not, no worries.
So Rick's here more, and you jumped if I'm misspeaking here, but I think he's here more for the LED lighting, right?
Or any of the energy stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I chair the energy committee here in Kingston
Okay.
and so, it's something that we're interested in, I'm interested in personally. And it seemed like the LED, but then I know Dan has looked at some things about possibly doing a bigger thing where, and I know some of these companies like Siemens and others, they come in and they do some kind of a deal where they'll actually, they help somehow pay for it, or they do something and they get paid from the savings somehow. I don't know how exactly it works, but it just seems like some kind of a request for proposals could go out, and then, hopefully you get some bidders, and maybe it's something that you look at seriously as to whether or not it's worth spending some money to make some money. My sense is, when we did it with the town, just with the streetlights, we went from $30,000 to $20,000 a year in terms of just for the streetlights in town. And on the scale that you've got here, I know when we were thinking about doing the solar thing, it was got on like 500,000 kilowatts. You were gonna say it was like off the charts. So it was gonna pay for itself in a relatively short period of time. And my sense is the taxpayers would get that, I think. I don't think it would be that hard to sell. As a matter of fact, I think people nowadays realize, okay, LEDs, whatever it is, upgrading furnaces or boilers or whatever you do, and I have no idea controls and all those things that they would do. So anyway, that's what I'm hoping, that you guys would agree to move forward with some kind of a request for proposal to go out to at least see what's out there, and then have it come back and take a serious look at it, I guess, and see what you guys think and the board thinks and so on.
Well, what I got out of all that, it sounds like you're volunteering to be a spokesman when we do these things.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I sort of got that.
We could run campaigns,
Yeah.
that we can do. So, in terms of helping the school district, because I was on the budget committee for years, and I just got off it this past year, and I mean, everybody loves to beat up on the school. Of course. I mean, just, if you think, don't worry about this, it's the schools where all the money's going. And yet,
Same budget committee I was on.
yeah,
School's the devil.
Right, you used to be on it.
I know.
So, you know the drill, and so But I mean, I think that if people see you're actually trying to save money in terms of operating costs, because outside of salaries and stuff are always gonna go up. And it's operating costs that you might have some control over to some degree. And actually, I think people would appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I mean, historically, I think Tom put something out last year. The tax rate has either gone down or stayed the same based upon the work that the administration's done and the other committees. And I don't want to jump in, but for me,
No, go ahead.
the Siemens proposal, I think, there's another step in the process where they will do a deeper analysis. For me, everything that's in there today is based upon some other things that are going on. I think some of it is in the very far future, but there's things such as LED lights that we've exhausted. I think the last quote that we had was lights and fixtures with a 7-year return on investment. Well, that's exactly what it is. But we also had a lady come in, I forget her name, I'll have to get my folder, but there was actually a proposal to not change out the fixtures, remove the ballast and put in LED lights, which would be a quicker return on investment. I think we need to explore that. So there's a number of things on this list that don't have to wait, in my opinion, for a full Siemens blown RFP. Does that make sense?
Well, it's kind of low hanging fruit,
Yeah.
basically. And I did that at my law office in Exeter. And the question was, do we want to change the fixtures, which is more expensive? I'll come in and just put in new drivers and the valves, take them out and put in some literally magnetic LED strips and change them out.
This was more of a bulb.
half the
I
price.
forget how she explained it, but it
Was that
was,
the presentation we got out there?
yes.
Yeah.
And the electric company, Unitil, they paid most of it, frankly.
That
when
was
it came
Jamie's
right down.
contact?
That is correct, yeah. And that was, that 7-year ROI was without any assistance. That was just raw costs. And that was,
It's actually lower than that.
yeah, I think it's much lower because
Much
we won't
lower.
be changing the fixtures. So
Right.
that is low hanging fruit. And with everything else that went on last year, expenditures and some other things we had to do, and I think I'm the oldest on this committee, right, as far as tenure. I'll take responsibility. It just got pushed to the wayside, and that's our bad, right? Or my bad.
Well, I mean, you can't do everything.
No, I get it.
We
realize,
don't blame you, Rick.
No, I'm just,
You know what I
I think it is, to your
Yes.
point, it's
Speak for yourself,
low hanging
John.
fruit and we can finally start talking about it and move forward. You know what I mean?
That'd be great. I mean, you're running essentially a major corporation here, and there are priorities, and you got to give to get, and this and so on.
Yeah, we had a roof leak. I mean, we had a
Yeah.
freezer go.
Well, we also had teacher negotiations.
Yeah, it was a busy
Right,
year.
sure.
I have to step out, and I just interject one
Again.
thing. I would, having experienced the process of actually implementing the full Siemens project myself at a previous district, I would recommend that we consider going through the process of doing a deeper analysis and doing an RFP, because it doesn't cost us anything or much to get to that point where we really know what the details would be. Because the thing that's in the mix here that's important to recognize is that this building is 18 years old today. It looks wonderful. Our custodians are fantastic. Huge shout out to everyone that's kept the building up, Matt Angel, now Matt and Lila Dan. We've worked hard to make this building stay nice looking. We've maintained our home. Having said that, there are issues in the boilers, the heating system. Bakey still is using manual controls in their rooms, right? They don't have digital controls at Bakey. I just think that there's I agree that light bulbs are low hanging fruit, don't get me wrong, but I think it would make sense to do a full proposal and hear what the details would be on the ROI and the cost, because it might be more cost efficient for us to just go for it.
And you might find along those lines that Siemens, whoever else might get involved with it, will give you a better price if you include that.
Exactly.
Than if you just do.
Yeah, they talk about that in their
Yeah.
proposal.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys talk about this, and I'm fine with whatever we choose as a team, but my recommendation would be to do the RFP and find out what companies would offer us and what the cost would be, and and then we can just, if we choose to go à la carte after, we'll go à la carte after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I could,
What does it cost for like a deeper dive? Do you
Yeah.
know?
So if I could make a proposal here based on what we're looking at and what I've heard so far. So the first step that they do is the preliminary analysis, which is what they gave us. Okay? Then after that preliminary analysis, it's up to us whether we want to move forward to a detailed analysis like Rick alluded to earlier. And so if we move forward to a detailed analysis, they will come back with that detailed analysis. And that's our position where we say, and they even show it right in here, pick your project. So we get to decide, okay, this is what you've said, this is the cost, and now you tell us what you want to do. You know what I mean? This is the cost for this, and then they, you know, they'll give us those costs at that point. And so I think at that point, just for your awareness, Dan, though, this is not going to be no work for the team and you too, Matt. So when we arrive at this point, some of the things that we've talked about is the list of all the things that they want to replace is awesome, right? And if the sky was the limit and that made sense, then maybe we do it. However, there are some things in there that we have literally just changed out, right? So why would we throw away a brand new boiler and put in a new boiler, right? So there may be some things in here that we're going to ask you to go back and say, okay, where is the life cycle in this product?
Right,
You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
We just spent $100K on a new boiler. It doesn't make sense for us to throw it away, you know?
No, and that's exactly right.
Or maybe it does based on how they bundle and how they're trying to get us to their product, right? But we may have some follow-on questions for you, given their detailed analysis.
If they're giving us a Comcast triple play, we don't need the phone, but we'll take it.
Exactly,
Right.
right. So I think that's where we find ourselves. And so I think there may need to be some conversation with the contacts listed on here that says, okay, we've read through this, we understand the concept, we understand where you're headed with this, and we would like to take this to step 2, which is the detailed analysis, where we'll get some more finite information and see what and where we're going to move forward.
And there's a price tag with that though, too. You understand that?
I don't see that on here, so maybe
I know
was-
what it is. It's anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 investment.
It's a
It's
letter-
negotiable.
So then let's make this this
maybe-
part of the question, right? That we need to figure out what is that, right?
Yeah.
I'm hearing
Yeah.
numbers, but
Again, this is not,
We RFP first.
are you,
Well,
I
I was gonna say,
think-
you could RFP first
Right.
before that, right? Before anything costs any money,
right,
right? You can
that's
get-
what I was
get
thinking.
the
You wanna
players
be,
involved.
you know, quote unquote,
Because
married to Siemens.
Yeah, I don't
everyone
wanna,
wants-
yep.
But
It's like buying a car,
Siemens,
right?
Siemens is the only one that will back up
Yeah.
any monies though, as far as,
Guarantee cost savings.
yes,
Yeah.
So
They're the
I-
only ones that will guarantee
Yes.
cost savings.
because
Oh, well.
I've checked other companies and they
They're,
give you an estimate, but they won't back them up if you don't hit those numbers.
Siemens is a very,
Well, I guess, yes, I'm not married to the idea of an RFP, just to doing our due diligence to make sure that
That's
Siemens
what I was
is the
thinking.
right
Yeah,
person to go with, you know?
Siemens is a very large customer for us, for the company I work
Yeah.
for, so I'll have to recruit myself. It's,
But at the same time, you know something, which is also.
I know that they guarantee their savings,
Right.
and I know they're a reputable firm, but I can't vote on that.
Right.
Yeah, they're the largest in the world that handles this type of stuff. They're a German-based company. And
Well, as long as we've done, like that new policy says, a good faith effort to verify that this is the case.
Yeah.
That we wouldn't want to go with anybody else, then sure.
And
There-
my sense is there's probably some, Unitil or there's probably money out there.
There
right?
is.
So-
I know when I did I went just a quick thing. I went with heat pumps in the office. Revision came in and said, we won't do it until you actually tighten up this building. It's too loose. $10,000 to do that, to turn it up, shakes the shingles, came in and did it. Unitil paid $5 of that.
Right.
Wrote a check for $5,000. So I think this is a
Interesting.
no-brainer.
So as kind of a disclaimer, I'm a co-chair on the Energy Committee here in Kingston also.
Yes.
And we met some of the Unitil people on Tuesday for the new solar project that Kingston is building in with, 30,000 solar panels or something.
Over 11,000.
Or 11,000, I'm sorry, yeah.
It's about an $18 million thing
Yeah.
right here in South Kingston. It's the largest one in the state that
Yeah. So when I was there, I was talking with the CEO and a couple other people from Unitil already, and I've explained the situation to them, and I'm actually talking with someone with Unitil directly about other money-saving programs that they're offering right now. So I'm heading that way with Unitil right now, but that is something that Siemens would also do in their due diligence as far as, securing prices and everything along with that. So,
And it's kind of like Siemens is so large, when they talk to somebody, people listen.
yeah.
I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
some.
they're grabbing volume.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have a contractor, E&E, who we use a lot too, has a division like that does energy saving analysis and stuff. I can always call them and get a bid on them as far as what it would cost for them to be involved in something like this without the guarantees, obviously. But it might be a good figure to kind of start with, a local company to kind of do an evaluation of the building also.
so do we wanna do an RFP or not? Okay,
I would say hold on that until.
I would suggest that we review the draft of the capital improvement program, and we start off with that next meeting.
Yep.
There's stuff on here that needs to come off. Like we're not buying a generator for more stuff. I mean, that won't happen. The track, maintenance isn't on here. That needs to be put on here. There was recommended track maintenance when we resurface that thing that isn't on here that we have to do.
Oh, that's a really good point.
We'll be spending another $100,000 if we don't do the regular maintenance. So I think everybody should go through this and come back with your thoughts, and then we give it a good scrub, and we add anything and take off anything.
Yeah, I mentioned Jeremiah, the capital improvement plan will be a standing item on the agenda moving forward.
Yeah,
So
good.
just because we have so many facility issues down the road, we need to keep our eye on it.
And with that additional income we're getting, some of these things that have been on here that we've have said, like our wish list, like I think there's the athletic field access, right? Paving that road, which further deteriorates the track because of all the debris. We had a quote for $10,000, like that may be more reasonable now to help, preserve that track based upon the additional revenue we got coming in, right?
Yeah.
So some of these things that we pushed off as wish lists, we might be able to actually tackle the smaller things.
When you do that second level analysis for savings, for example, the $25,000 to $50,000, you sign a letter that says, yeah, we're gonna do this.
Letter of intent.
Letter of intent. You pay, let's just call it 50.
And that's negotiable, obviously.
Sure.
You
But like, you've already signed the letter of intent. It's not one of those things like you pay 50 for the analysis, and if you choose to go forward with stuff, they'll take that 50 and let you roll it in. Do you know what I mean? Is it like that?
You know,
I
I had to.
Yeah.
Because that's an interesting
100% sure.
question, right?
Well, and that's one of the negotiation points here as far as that.
If it's
goes, is
applicable
we
to
can
the-
move that cost
to the balance,
into.
to the
Yes.
cost of the stuff, right?
So just so I'm clear, because we're meeting in 2 weeks, the next meeting in 2 weeks, what does the committee want Dan and I to do? So we bring you back what you need in 2 weeks.
I think get clarification on what the letter of intent is, maybe get a draft so we can review it before the meeting.
Yeah, what would we have to
And then
sign to do
what
that?
is the commitment, what's negotiable?
What is the financial?
And then,
process?
where does that money go if we don't move forward?
Yeah, where does it go if we don't move
Where does
forward
it go if we
and
do?
if we do move forward?
Right.
Both ways.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. And I would ask that when we review, our capital improvement plan, that we put that towards the top of the agenda. We take the most important items, throw them at the top, but I don't want to keep that at the very bottom because it'll constantly get dumped. And if we get in the habit of reviewing it, it'll be faster.
I think it's important for folks to know that for me, I've worked really hard for 7 years to get the budget under control, move the middle school to this building, generate revenue from the old middle school, and move the district forward in a manner that is fiscally responsible. Having done that, there's a point where I'm worried that we're getting to the tipping point because some of the facilities really are concerning. So for example, one thing that I really think we have to talk about is that music room on the back of Memorial. That portable is getting old. And I just want to keep that on the top and then in the front as we move forward, because that wouldn't be addressed by like a Siemens project or anything. It's a big thing that we have to figure out as a community. And it's gonna hit almost right when Fremont's tuition dollars start tapering off. So what I don't want to have happen is Fremont's tuition dollars taper off, and then that building needs a major renovation at the same time. That could be really hard for our community.
And I'm also keeping my fingers crossed that we don't have any malfunctions in boiler and heating and cooling systems also in these other schools, because they are so aged right now at Memorial and at the Seacoast building that it really does worry me that we're gonna have something major go wrong and then we're gonna have to pull the trigger on something.
We took care of Akey, so that's good. Like we did that.
Yeah, but that was one of those emergency reaction type things. I know we had to do it.
But they're running, they're operable.
Oh, yeah, Bakey's running
And
fantastic.
they're receiving regular maintenance.
Yes,
Yes.
but we're fighting the age on them though, and getting replacement parts.
I'm
for
fighting
these.
age every day myself.
Well, I mean, for instance, like the boilers here at the high school, I actually
Tell me
bought
about
2 extra sections for the boilers here, and we're storing them simply because they don't make the sections anymore.
Yeah.
So if we had a boiler that went down, it could take years before we get another section. And it took me 8 months to just get those 2 extra sections from Brooklyn, New York to ship here, just to have them on.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note, I'm not trying to be like catastrophic or chicken little. the
Right, I was
sky's
just gonna
falling.
say that.
I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just simply saying that it's my
Okay.
job to kind of look
Yeah.
ahead.
Sure.
And all that I'm concerned about, the first concern is the portable at Memorial deteriorating quickly because it's past the end of life already.
Yep.
At the same time that the Fremont tax dollars or the Fremont tuition payments did
Yep.
go away. That's all I'm saying. It could be fine. It could be another 5 years.
Yeah,
I don't
that's,
know.
yeah, I think, yeah.
Well,
If I-
yeah.
Because I
could
hear
pose-
age of life and I
Yeah, I wanna
my
go-
radar goes up because that's not a gauge.
Right,
Yeah, we gotta,
right,
we gotta go and
right.
take a look at the concrete
Correct.
reality
Yes,
of it.
yes,
So I'd love
and
to-
that's all I'm asking you to do is to go look at it, examine it, and that's all I'm asking for.
And what we need is, this is why we're gonna review the capital improvement plan.
Yep.
So what we need is your input to that capital improvement plan.
Mhm.
Then if we need to look at something, we go and look at it, we evaluate it. I don't wanna come off as Chicken Little with our hair burning, everything's falling down. Like, we've been maintaining, we've been working, and when you
Yep.
bring us something that says, hey, this needs to be done, the freezer example, we take care of it,
You
right?
do, you do.
And so we want to make sure as this committee that you bring us that information, arm us with that information. That way we can manage that capital improvement plan together and do it in a responsible way for the district, the taxpayer, the students, safety, et cetera.
And inspect.
And inspect it. Yeah.
Yep.
So I would love for us to, if any final moments, any final comments or alibis, that we get those out of the way, and that way we can actually break out of here and grab
Well,
a
I think-
quick bite.
I think we've covered everything I need covered, and we have a plan moving forward. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Rick, thanks for coming.
Thank
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Rick,
appreciate it.
No,
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for,
Come anytime, definitely adds value.
Yeah.
well, I
Is the meeting
appreciate what
adjourned?
you're doing.